What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. That's right, that's right. Everyone who's tuning in today, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel, help make this show the best that it can be. And one of our main subscribers, Mr. Rap God, he asked me to do a video talking about Mr. Victor Wembanyama, better known as Wemby. That's right. That's right. You know, I'm telling you, man, it's like the more things change, the more things stay the same, And the Spurs, man, San Antonio Spurs, they have been a long-standing franchise, man. It goes back to, the original superstar, George, the Iceman Gervin. Iceman, you know what I'm saying? And then they had some good players along the way. Artis Gilmore, Mike Dunleavy played on that team for years. And uh, Mike Mitchell, who was a solid player for them, man, back in the 80s. And then here comes the Admiral, David Robinson, man. Sean Elliott from the University of Arizona Wildcats. And they had some good core players around them. And then here comes the big fundamental himself, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, man, drafted in, let's see, D-Rob was drafted. Technically, he was drafted in 87. Then he had to complete his 2-year commitment with the Navy, which he was serving in. And then he made his debut during the 89-90 season, won Rookie of the Year. And I remember, man, his rookie year, David Robinson was getting just as much publicity and commercial opportunity than even Michael Jordan, man. They were saying he was going to be the next Bill Russell because he did play like Bill Russell, man, And they was already saying he was the best center in the league, above Akeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing and the like. And Dave Robinson was a beast, man. And then here comes Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamentals, who played with 21 seasons, 20 seasons with the San Antonio Spurs, man, and just a brilliant career, man. And then they had a couple of down years, also, they had Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and the like. And here comes Victor Wembanyama, man. Drafted during the 2023 draft, number one pick, man. And there was a lot of excitement and anticipation of his introduction to the NBA. And he didn't disappoint, man. He was being compared. The first time I saw him play, the first person that reminded me of is Ralph Sampson, the great legend of men's college basketball, University of Virginia, Cavaliers. Tim Holland was the head coach then. And, Sampson went to go play on 4 years in college. He was like a 3-time All-American, went to the Final Four. And he enters the NBA, number one pick in the 83 draft. And then I thought I remember when Ralph Sampson came into the league, I thought he was going to be the next Kareem. Plus he was 7'4", man. He was cat quick and run like a gazelle, you know what I'm saying? He had handles. He had the whole package, man. And unfortunately, he started suffering them knee injuries, man. He just wasn't the same after that. But I hear a lot of conversation about Wembanyama and Ralph Sampson and which player is better than the two. And now see, this is the thing, man. Like I said, how can I say this, man? I don't get stuck in the past, man. So if I feel a player can become better, based on what they're showing early in their career, I'll say it. So I can sit here and say, man, I think Wembanyama, I think he can become a better basketball player than Ralph Sampson. Because technically, if he was drafted in the 80s, he would have at least completed 3 years of college. So he's in his third year now. So the way I look at it, I'm looking at him like he's playing his junior year in college. So this is just the beginning of what we can have an opportunity to witness with Wemby. And prior to the last couple of games, the man was averaging over 30 points. He was beasting and outplayed some of the best big men in the league. You know what I'm saying? So now he's averaging about 26 points a game, about 13 rebounds. And to me, when the NBA is at its absolute best, it's when the big man is dominate. When the center position is dominant. To me, that's when the NBA is at its absolute best. And that's why during the Michael Jordan years, that's why he received the admiration that he got, because what he achieved, he did so during probably the greatest era of centers we've ever seen. And he was winning in that era. So Wembanyama, man, is like, it's almost like turning back the hands of time, but at the same time, he's a center of the future. And I would say the biggest adjustment he made, and this is how you know when them talking heads be crapping on yesterday's players and saying they were no good. Well, guess who Wembanyama worked out with this offseason? He worked out with Akeem the Dream Olajuwon, historically viewed as one of the top 10 greatest players in NBA history, 2-time champion, Defense Player of the Year. I think one of the only players in modern NBA history to record a quadruple double, the dream shape. And he mentored Wemby this offseason. And I believe the biggest adjustment Wemby made going into this year was limiting the amount of three-point shot attempts. Because last year it got out of hand. He was shooting darn near, close to 10 3-pointers. He was only making about, 2 of them. Akeem must have mentored him and say, look, man, if you work on your post game in the inside, you could become more dominant and score more and have more of an impact playing the actual position than you think you would by shooting them threes. So initially, I think Wembanyama was caught up in the analytics of it all, but there's that small adjustment, man, has taken this game to the next level. And as a result, the Spurs got to a tremendous start to their season. And that was one of the teams I was kind of looking at, seeing what they was going to do this year, because I felt they could make a jump. And, with his improvement and the improvement of certain teammates on the team, particularly on the starting five, and with Stephen Castle and what's his name, Harper, and then you still got De'Aaron Fox out there waiting to return back from an injury. The Spurs can make the playoffs this year. So, he can make his first playoff appearance this year. And when he get in there, man, he can make an impact. Now, the drawback is, see, the thing about these talking heads, man, they don't let these dudes play. It's one thing to say, man, Wemby reminds me of so-and-so. Or, when, let's say when Grant Hill entered the NBA, he was kind of being compared to Scottie Pippen or Jordan. Oh, man, he reminds you of Dr. J. Comparisons, that's great. That's great. Because it's always a reflection of how great players were in the past, of yesterday. That's great. But the talking heads over the past week or so, they was, propelling that Wembanyama can be the GOAT. And when you do that, you sending out bad energy, man. And he probably came across that prediction, probably got caught up in a little bit. Last couple games, he hasn't played up to what he did at the start of the season. But I think he'll get back to that. You know what I'm saying? But these talking heads be setting these guys up, man, for the okie doke. But I'm going to tell you, if Wembanyama, because when he was drafted, now going into his second year, he said at some point in his career, he's going to try to develop his version of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook. If he does that, man, he don't have to master it to the level Kareem did, because Kareem started developing that shot when he was in grade school. He started developing that shot before he became a prep athlete. So by the time he went to college, it was already second nature. And by the time he turned pro, I mean, it was like a machine at that point. If he can develop that his version of the sky hook, he'll be unstoppable, dog. For that position, he'll be because ain't nobody gonna be able to block it. Once he learns how to, pin his man down on the block, man, and kind of position his body in a way where they can't disrupt the shot. He started hitting that with proficiency, man. I ain't necessarily talking about efficiency, but with proficiency to where that's his money shot. If he developed that, man, moving forward in his career, let's say by year 5, if he gets that shot in his repertoire, in his arsenal, he'll become a champion. He'll become a champion, man. So, I love to see the center position flourish, man, and I credit Nikola Jokic, man. Embiid to a certain degree, but definitely Jokic. Jokic, I think, because of his play, his passing ability, him becoming a champion in his own right, it set the stage for the center position to return back to his natural status in his league. But Wemby, man, the Spurs, they're off to a great start this year. I believe that they got a record of 5-2. And they played probably in the toughest division in the NBA. With that Southwest division, you got the Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the Houston Rockets, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the Pelicans going through their thing right now, but they had a potential, a couple years ago. Memphis, they going through their struggles with Ja Morant, but I'm saying as far as the division itself, game in and game out, because you got centers on every team, quality centers on every team. But Wemby, man, he's having his best season so far, and I'm sure he'll bounce back from these last 2 games. I think he kind of, got caught up in what was being said about him becoming the GOAT. And see, that's the thing, man. Man, when he's talking they get the running off, man, making these statements. I remember Anthony Edwards. Was that not this past playoff in 25, but the previous playoff in 24. That first round, the Minnesota Timberwolves swept the Phoenix Suns, and Ant-Man outplayed KD, and they start comparing him to 88 Jordan, the 88 version of Jordan, who won league MVP, defensive player of the year, led the league in steals, led the league in scoring, 200 steals and 100 blocks. The only player in history had to do that in back-to-back seasons at that position. He compared Ant-Man to that, and Ant-Man, he was never the same the rest of the playoff. He was never the same. You hear that word GOAT, man, everything go off the rails. So Victor Wembanyama, man, don't trip out what they saying. Just play your game, dog. Play your game. And I'm telling you, man, he can be better than Ralph Sampson. And Ralph Sampson was easily one of the top 5 greatest men collegiate basketball players of all time. If you go back and look at his career at University of Virginia, well, Wembanyama can become better than that. It's there for him. So, yeah, I just want to do that video real quick, man. Wemby's heading in the right direction. The Spurs heading in the right direction. That's why I say it don't take long, man. Tim Duncan retired. Ginobili had retired. Parker, I think he had been traded, I think to the Hornets, and then I think he returned back to the Spurs like on a one-day symbolic contract so he can retire as a Spur. I think that's how he did it. But nonetheless, here they are, man. They 5-2. So, but yeah, Wemby, man, it's there for him, man. So I think he got great things ahead for him in the shot blocking. Man, like I said, man, once he puts on, more weight, about maybe, if he can get the size of Kareem, because Kareem was deceptively thin, meaning he looked thin, but when you really look at Kareem, he kept himself in great shape, and he was actually very strong, because he was about 7'2", about 240-ish, somewhere around that 240, 245 range. But if Wemby can build himself up to kind of look like Kareem, develop that hook shot, lights out, man. Lights out. He'll become a champion, But yeah, I just want to drop that video, people. Like I said, don't take long, man. You be down for a couple years and boom, you're right back there where, okay, man, hey, they can make the playoffs this year, man. They on the rebound. They on the up and up. But yeah, I just want to drop that nugget. Leave your comments and thoughts. Till next time, JB for BTB, Behind the Bench.